We have almost $500,000 worth of huge sports card trades that we're about to analyze and debate who won now. Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, Bill Russell, Wayne Gretzky, LeBron James, Teapot. These were cards that were traded, and those were all part of the first trade that we're going to break down and debate today. There were 8 massive trades totaling almost $500,000 that took place on Veriswap's website over the last 30 days. We're taking the 8 biggest trades and we are analyzing them and breaking them down and debating who won these trades in this show right now. This is high stakes trading, and it's all taking place every day on Veriswap's platform. Veriswap is a great secure way for you to do trade deals from the comfort of your own house, with more than 50,000 other collectors who have registered for Veriswap's platform around the world. And when you go to veriswap.com right now and register and use promo code SCI, you're going to get $15 free towards your first trade on Veriswap. All right, Teapot, let's jump right into the very first one because we got a huge one right off the bat. And to give us the breakdown of it, let's bring in Raymond, the founder of Veriswap.
So coming in hot at number 1, we have a $171,000 trade. On one side, we have a LeBron Jordan dual auto. On the other hand, we have a Jordan Exquisite from 04, Jordan LeBron dual auto BGS 9.5, and a Gretzky PSA 8, Bill Russell rookie, and a Babe Ruth rookie. What do you guys think?
Man, what a GOAT heavy trade right off. These are the types of trades that get me excited, Teapot. When I see a trade like this going down at a card show or on Veriswap, I mean, this gets me out of bed in the morning to see this type of stuff happen. What do you make of this trade?
This is pretty wild. This reminds me of when you traded like a Josh Allen for a Babe Ruth or something a few years ago. Like, you've got a little bit of everything in here. Thankfully, it is kind of all goats for goats. You know, last month we kind of talked about this, and there were some comments from people like, at the end of the day, it really is about, like, the trade was done. There's no real winner. If both sides leave happy, that's what trading is all about. I'm going to approach this as we go through it today from the lens of, like, just which side would I rather have? Which one would I rather have? And in this case, I'd definitely rather have the lot of 5 cards.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to consolidation. Sometimes you want to get it move into a bigger card. You could argue that the bigger card is always like the better long-term investment in most cases. Just the higher dollar cards tend to appreciate a lot and have a big demand. But this lineup of 5 cards, when you're talking potentially the GOAT of all GOATs in Gretzky, with that card, you've got Babe Ruth from the Gaudy set, which is fantastic. You get a dual auto in return of the same 2 guys just from another year. But to me, the thing that sets it over the top is that Exquisite Jordan. That's just an absolutely spectacular card that if I just look at that card alone in these 2, I'm like, it's exquisite, you know, it's exquisite.
I'm not a big collector of exquisite basketball cards, but there are so many people that are.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from collectors and dealers who are in the exquisite basketball market is that market has been red hot.
Yes.
And apparently there's a ton of heat right now overseas in China. Apparently you've got a lot of big collectors over in Asia who are buying up exquisite cards from American collectors, and there's a lot of private sales. So that Michael Jordan exquisite card is certainly more valuable today than it was 6 months ago, and it might be more valuable 6 months from now, just with how hot that market has been. Had that card not been in the deal, to me, and had it just been some other nice card, I would have definitely favored the dual Michael Jordan, LeBron James, LeBron rookie year autograph. That is a LeBron rookie dual autograph with Michael Jordan. And that makes that card so special to me. But the Jordan Exquisite is a very, very special card. And then you add in all of those other cards. The only issue I will say with some of those other cards is you do have some lower grade. You've got a Babe Ruth in a 3. You've got a Bill Russell in a 4. You've got a Gretzky in an 8. That one's a little bit higher. These cards are not necessarily super rare cards in lower grades. I think people have a conception that like 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth.
They're iconic, but they're not rare.
They're not rare. There's I think there's something like over 7,000 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruths graded across the different designs from that year. And so, it's not that rare of a card, and you are giving up a super ultra rare card with that dual auto. to get less rare cards in return. So that would be the one argument that I would have for why you might rather have the dual auto. But because you got exquisite coming your way, and because the overall value of those 5 together, in my opinion, is superior to the dual auto by a decent margin, I'm with you on this one. I'd rather have the 5 cards than that one.
Yeah, I agree. The value piece, I mean, that's ultimately kind of how you want to look at it too. If you're making a trade, you're trying to get to values. I will say, a lot of people when they're going into trades or they're listing things online, they're always listing their cards worth more than maybe what they would do on an open auction or something like that. You kind of expect that in trades. So there's some of that, but overall the value does seem to be pretty strongly on the side of the 5, and the other ones are liquid. So if that person just wanted to get into it for that MJ exquisite, get some cash and move the other ones, I think they did pretty well.
I think they did well too, but that was just the first of 8 incredible trades we're gonna look at. Let's go to number 2.
Trade 2, we have a 63K Otani trade. On one side, we have a 2018 Bowman Chrome Otani Blue in PSA 10. On the other side, we have an interesting error card. It's an Otani Red Refractor BGS 9.5. It's actually numbered out of 25. Typically, red is numbered out of 5. And $4,000 in cash. What do you guys think?
All right, Teapot, we've got Shohei being traded for Shohei plus some cash. This is an interesting one. Who do you think won?
This is a unique one because we've got an error card in the mix. And in this case, for that reason, I'm going with the blue, the iconic blue Bowman Chrome Auto. Now, it's really unique because Shohei doesn't have a Bowman first. He just has the Bowman rookie cards, but he has 2. He has a hitting and he has a pitching, both of which command an incredible premium. So if you're gonna go after an Otani card, this is the card. I mean, one of those 2 from Bowman Chrome 2018 is the card. And in PSA 10 condition, you really can't top that. People really like the blues to 150. They're, let's say, more accessible of a price point than some of the lower numbers. You look at this red from Topps Chrome, it's also a rookie card, but this is an error. Why is it an error? Because reds are usually numbered to 5. And there are actually, I believe, at least red waves to 5 and others. Somehow these got misnumbered and nobody actually knows if there are actually 25 of these or not. The serial numbering on the back says 25, but if you go to Blowout Forums and you do some research, there haven't been 25 of them graded, 25 haven't surfaced. And when it comes to cards like this, I just don't know what to make of them. And frankly, nor do a lot of other people. I get so many people come up to the National and say, I've got this error card, what do you think it's worth? And I go, I honestly have no idea, and neither does the market. So when it came down to this one, I think value-wise, maybe pretty even. Tough to value the red error card, but with the $4,000 in cash, I think it was a pretty even trade on both sides, but give me the blue because I know that one's got long-standing value.
I'm gonna stand up on my soapbox here. I'm gonna get on my high horse for a minute. I'm gonna say something. People out there probably are not gonna agree. They're gonna let me know this in the comments, and that's fine. I hate error cards. There's only been one error card in history, and it wasn't even an error card that I will give any credit to, and that's that whole Billy Ripken fiasco with the bottom of the bat, which I will say I do think Topps did a great job with their little homage to that earlier this year. With who was that, Jackson Holiday or Gunnar Henderson? Jackson Holiday. But I hate error cards. There was, back in the 80s, back when I was a kid collecting, there was so much excitement around error cards.
That's all we had.
That's all we had, because you didn't have short prints.
No
you didn't have short prints, you didn't have parallels. So it was like the error card was the short print. So people just went crazy for the error cards. And then, of course, the manufacturer started overdoing it and started making their own, errors, I think, on purpose, and doing stuff like that to, before they actually then figured out, oh, maybe we should actually just number cards instead of doing goofball things like making intentional errors on cards. I don't like that. Look, an error card is a mess up. It's not something that should be celebrated. It's something that should make you mad. I'm upset with Topps. How Topps could you take such an iconic card as a Shohei Otani rookie autograph, a refractor? This is one of the most important cards of the last 20 years.
A red.
How a red, that is literally one of the most important cards of the last 20 years. How could you mess it up by messing up the serial numbering? Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. That's not something that should be celebrated. That's something that should be like, like it's a downer. It's the same way I look at this. like a card that came out of a pack and had a bad print line on it, and it grades a 6, fresh out of a pack. That's how I look at this. I don't want that. I don't want that card. I don't like that card. That card makes me angry. That card to me symbolizes screwing up. That symbolizes somebody not doing their job. I don't like it. And when I have the people come up to me at the National, I've got this error card, I got that error card. I don't like them. I don't want to see the error cards.
At the National next year that says,
I don't like it.
Don't show me your error cards.
I don't like it. I don't like that Shohei. With all respect to Shohei, I'm sorry.
With all respect to the person who received the Shohei.
I understand the person who sold the show, who traded away the Shohei, also gave away some cash. I'm glad they did that because that makes it a little bit value-wise. It makes it fair, but I would much rather have the blue. I'm going to agree with you on that. No more error card. I've said my piece. I've said my piece. What do you?
No offense to the person who got the Otani.
I hope they love it.
Like it. I hope you love it.
I hope they love it.
But I tend to agree with you on that, Jeff.
I hope they love it. Let us know what you think about error cards in the comments, and we're going to go on to our third trade.
This next trade is an interesting one. It's a $41,000 consolidation trade. On one side, we have a Jordan Love Gold Prism in PSA 9, numbered out of 10. On the other side, we have a mix of modern football and basketball. You know, you have a lot of big names here. You have Jordan Love, LaMelo, RJ Barrett, Halliburton, and 6.5K in cash. What do you guys think of this trade up?
All right, Teapot, I know as a Lions fan, you must have the utmost respect for the Packers, for Jordan Love, and this person got a Jordan Love Gold Prism. It's one of Jordan Love's best rookie cards ever. Of course, they gave up a whole lot of cards in return. So who do you think won this thing?
Once again, give me the big lot of all of the cards for several reasons. One, I think the value is there on that side of the more cards. The $6,500 in cash to me, almost unnecessary. Maybe like $2,000, $3,000 would have actually made this an even trade. Now, we talk about this all the time with trades. When you're consolidating into one big card, it's not uncommon to see somebody have to throw in even over the top cash to get the deal done. So I guess it makes sense in that regard. But as I said in a video I did on the Market Movers channel about 6 weeks ago, I hadn't seen enough from Jordan Love to believe in Jordan Love. We saw about 8 games of good Jordan Love, and then we saw him choke in the final game of the playoffs and get eliminated, and that was it for Jordan Love. A lot of people were already anointing him. The Packers gave him a big payday. Everybody's saying he's the next in the line of Favre, Rodgers, and now it's Jordan Love, the next great Packers GOAT quarterback. I will be sick to my stomach if Jordan Love is actually really, really generationally good like those other guys as a Lions fan. I'm not happy that he got hurt. I don't root for players ever to get injured. I'm also not necessarily hoping he comes back in time to play the Lions, if I'm being honest. But
I think he's back. He's back. He's practicing.
Back.
He's back.
And it's a few more weeks before we do it. So, but when I look at this trade, a gold prism is really hard to go wrong with, but I just haven't seen enough. I'm getting some Jordan Love back in these cards. I'm getting some up-and-coming players like a green scope choice to number to 8 prism Tyrese Halliburton. I'm getting, some other stuff that I could easily move. Tua, this probably happened before the Tua concussion issue, I'm guessing, but you're getting a lot of variety, a lot of very liquid cards, a lot of cards that are easy to move, and you're getting 3 Jordan Love cards that are actually pretty darn good when you look at them.
You're getting LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. You can move it easily.
You're getting RJ Barrett.
Sure. Yeah, ship it off. Sell it to Cards HQ. I don't know.
You're getting Tua. Will he ever play again?
Well, this was probably done before the Tua injury.
You're getting Jaden McDaniels. Fine player.
GOAT.
Definitely nowhere near GOAT status. Not even the third. Not even the 3rd or 4th best player on his team.
Green Shimmer to 5.
If you believe in Jordan Love, I think it's a good trade to get the gold. I would, if I really believed in, or if you're a big Packers fan.
Yeah.
If he's your quarterback.
Yeah.
If he's your quarterback and you're a big Packers fan and you just love collecting the Packers, or if you just really think Jordan Love's the next big guy, I would do this trade. Sure. I would give all of that up to get the Prism Gold because you're going to one of his most premier rookie cards of all time.
Yeah.
I would do the trade.
Yep.
I would do the trade. But there was a lot of risk because I do just on paper, the 8 cards plus the cash are worth more on paper than what the gold is right now.
Yep.
That can change quickly. But on paper at the moment, the 8 cards plus the cash are worth more. So I don't know. I'm not as on either side of this trade as you are. I'm okay with the person who traded all that for the gold prism Jordan Love, because history could tell us that was a good decision.
Right.
It could.
Right.
Or Jordan Love could not live up to the hype and expectations and all of those things.
Yeah.
And you would rather have the diversity of a Tyrese Halliburton and a LaMelo Ball and some of these other cards.
Right.
So
yeah, if this had been, you brought this up last time, if this had been Patrick Mahomes in 2017, before he even broke out in 2018, this would have paid off great. This would have paid off incredibly well for you. But if it had been Baker Mayfield after a 2018 strong rookie showing and then many years of not good until recently, and he's good again, then it doesn't work out. It's a gamble. You're consolidating into a ton of gamble to speculate on a young quarterback with not even a full season of playing well. And now he's unfortunately at least partially injured. We'll see how that impacts his play the rest of the season. But
we will see. All right, let's go to the next trade.
This next trade that we have is going to be $40,000. On one side, we have a CJ Stroud White Sparkle Prism in PSA 10. On the other side, we have a Wemby Select Tiger PSA 10, an AR Kaboom PSA 10, Bedard Clear Cut PSA 10, and a Scotty Barnes White Sparkle Prism. What do you guys think about this consolidation trade?
All right, Teapot, we have some of the rookie goats, CJ Stroud, Wemby, last year's rookies, considered the greatest in their respective sport, being traded here. Connor Bedard, also rookie goat from last season. I mean, you couldn't get bigger name rookies than these guys. Anthony Richardson's in there as well. Like, this is a trade of all of the biggest rookies, it seems. So who won?
Well, who won this one to me is really all about the value. If I just look at the value, the person who got the 4 cards won this in a landslide. Now, Stroud's playing in the season. He's off to a good start. He's like 3rd in MVP, maybe 2nd in MVP odds early behind Mahomes. He's playing. He looks really good, just like he did last year. So this card could stand to go up a lot, that White Sparkle. I believe it's like pop 9. We saw one of these, a different copy in last month's trade.
Yeah, we did.
And it was a very similar mix. There might have been some Wemby in there. But in this case, that card sold recently for a little under $13,000, whereas the side of these other cards adds up to more like $18,000, $19,000. So this is somebody who obviously very much wanted that White Sparkle card, and maybe was valuing it a little bit more than
they had a higher trade value.
But these other ones would be incredibly easy to move. The Scotty Barnes probably the most difficult to move of those, just to be confident in the price that you're getting. But
it's still a White Sparkle 10. That's a very people love those cards.
More like I'm thinking getting the price you might want out of it, and being confident in that. But everything else here, like you said, it's 3 upstart athletes. You can't go wrong with the Wemby Tiger Stripe. So I like the 4 cards in this case, but visually, if you just said which card would you rather have, I mean, the White Sparkle Stroud's fantastic.
I love Stroud's upside. I think the Texans have a good shot at the AFC title game this year.
I believe in him more than any of the last 5 years quarterbacks.
That said, because you're giving up a Wemby, who is even above Stroud in terms of his rookie significance to his sport, and because you're giving up a Connor Bedard, who's probably also above Stroud in terms of his rookie significance to his sport. I mean, they're already anointing Wemby and Bedard as potential all-time greats. Stroud, no one's anointed him an all-time great yet. No one's put that designation on him yet.
They keep doing that to Jordan Love.
Right. And there's already that designation though on Wemby and Bedard. So because you're getting those cards plus the AR plus the Scotty Barnes.
It's a Kaboom too. I mean, Kaboom's move.
I agree with you. I'd rather have the 4 cards. If you were trading the CJ Stroud White Sparkle for second tier, if you were instead of Wemby, if you were trading it for I don't know, so on down the draft board a little bit.
Or even
actually, I like Paulo Banchero.
I know that, but he's not
Wemby. He's not Wemby. That's true. Right.
Yeah.
So a guy who's still good, who still has a lot of promise, but he's not quite at Wemby's level. Right. I would feel better about the trade in that case. But in this case, it's for me, it's the 4 cards.
I would have wanted a little cash with the Stroud, honestly, if I were doing this.
I totally with you on that one. All right, let's take a look at the next one.
This next trade is $39,000. On one side, we have a LeBron Exquisite Patch Auto in BGS 8.5, numbered out of 100. On the other side, we have a Luca NT RPA horizontal and $4,000 in cash. What do you guys think?
All right, Teapot, 2 current day basketball greats plus some cash. Who won this trade?
This one is wild to me. I think it's overwhelmingly the Luca plus cash, simply because of the value proposition. Like, the person who had the LeBron had it valued at $20K. This card just sold for under $11,000 a month ago. This exact, not this copy, but an 8.5 with a 10 auto sold for $11,000 a month ago on August 13th. So the Luca I have valued around $15K plus $4,000 in cash. I'd want the cash on the side of the LeBron to make this trade even. If you were to just stack up 2 cards and say, hey, would you rather have an exquisite LeBron auto or a Luca NT, not player, not worn anything that is game worn on the exquisite LeBron? In a vacuum, I'd just say, oh, give me that exquisite LeBron. But the value here on these 2 cards is pretty significantly different in terms of what the market is commanding for
Well,
these.
and it's because the Luca's the rookie.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
The LeBron's a second-year card.
Right.
It's hard for me to argue with that. Especially cash going as well, a more valuable card plus cash going over for a less valuable card. It's hard for me to argue that you would be better off. I think you would be better off, as you said, having the Luca plus the cash on your side. That said, why would the person have done this for, why did they want the LeBron? I mean, obviously, beyond them maybe just being a big LeBron collector and that type of thing. As I mentioned earlier in the show, exquisite cards have been hot. Exquisite cards are going up in value. Maybe they're seeing the exquisite as the better long-term play. Luca's values are still very high for a guy who has not won an MVP award, but obviously this past season, we finally saw the Mavericks make the playoff run that everybody was looking forward to. And so there's a lot of optimism around him entering this next year, maybe even more optimism entering this next year than there have been in previous years when there was already a lot of optimism, and he's been everybody's preseason MVP pick now for 2 or 3 seasons in a row.
4.
This season, he's probably really going to be everybody's MVP pick, especially after what happened in the postseason with the Mavericks and the run that they had.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult for me on this one, even though for my personal collection, I mean, the only thing I will say is if I wasn't worried about cash, for my personal collection, I'd rather have the LeBron.
Sure.
That's the one thing I will say about the LeBron. But given the values and given the fact I'm getting cash, I'd have to give up the LeBron, and I'd have to take those 2
Even
cards.
knowing the Luca is a rookie, if you just put these 2 cards next to each other and said, which one do you think is a better card? I would say the LeBron.
Definitely.
I would say the LeBron.
Definitely.
So in that case, I can understand why the person would make the trade, but from the value perspective, I'm surprised the person with the Luca managed to get $4,000 in cash added to that deal.
Seems a little rich.
Yeah.
Seems a little rich. All right. Feel like we got a clear winner there, but let's take a look at the next trade.
This next trade is an interesting one. It's a lot of smaller Mahomes pieces for a big one. So we have $1,000 in cash, plus a few of his rookie cards, 2 select PSA 10 silvers, a Don Russ PSA 10, and a Mahomes Orange Prism PSA 10 numbered out of 275, all consolidated for a Mahomes Blue Prism PSA 9. What do you guys think?
So much Mahomes. I know you love Mahomes,
I love
Teapot. This trade is meant for you.
It is.
So you tell me, who won? Which Mahomes cards would you rather have?
Everyone won. Yeah, everyone's getting Mahomes. It's like Christmas came early. But in this case, I'm going to go with the 5, with the 4 plus the cash for the variety, only because the blue, to me, it's very short printed. These are not numbered, but this one is Pop 7, no 10s in existence. So the highest graded 9, Pop 7. These were very short printed, super short printed copies, I believe out of Retail Prism. And so these are really hard to come by. In that sense, I understand it. You're trading up into the bigger card. But that field level select silver prism is one of my favorite designs.
Nice.
You're getting an orange back. I can easily move that Donruss and sell it for some cash. I'm getting a little bit of cash. Everything here works for me. If this were the red super short print non-numbered prism out of 2017 color match, I'd be going for the red. But the blue, to me, with the red uniform, just honestly doesn't do much for me.
Doesn't look as good.
It doesn't look as good. It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look great. I know I say that earlier, saying I'd go for the blue Otani in the red Angels jersey, but I like the variety of the cards here. I like getting the orange prism, which is still really impressive in a PSA 10. But in my opinion, this one, I don't know that anybody kind of got the short end of the stick. Pretty even on both sides.
You know what looks less good than the blue prism?
orange?
The orange prism.
I don't think it looks
I
good.
don't like the look of that orange prism.
I like it okay.
I don't like it. I don't think the orange prism has
like fire.
has
It's
zero
so
eye
hot.
appeal.
It's
No
so hot
eye
right
appeal
now.
at all. In my opinion, negative eye appeal on that orange
Negative.
prism.
It's like an error
I think the blue
You'd rather
prism
have an
is a
error
nicer
card.
looking card. I'd rather have an error card than the orange prism. Yes, Teapot. I do not like the orange. I do not like the orange with the red Chiefs
What about
jersey.
that Donruss paper? You like that?
I kind of like the iconic rated rookie look a little bit. I'm all right with that,
like
but
the
I do agree with you on the field level silver. That's a nice
just
looking
nice.
card. That is a nice looking card,
Yeah.
and I like actually the both of the select
premier
cards.
level, too, is nice.
Yeah. They're both really nice.
Yeah.
So strictly from a value standpoint, if you look at recent, and of course those blue prisms are hard to comp out. There's not as many sales, but I think the blue prism, strictly from a value standpoint, is worth a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so.
Than the others.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go sell these, if you were to go sell all of these tomorrow, it's certainly going to be easier to move the 4 than that 1. Those 4 sell more often, they have more established values, they're going to be a little easier to move because they're lower end cards. The blue one, you're going to have a little more difficult of a time finding a buyer and actually maximizing value. So even though on paper, it's worth a little bit more, in practice and execution, I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to be.
Yeah.
Conversely, the opposite could happen. You could put it out and there could be a big Mahomes super collector that really wants that card because it is so rare, it doesn't come up for auction very often, and they see it at auction, and you could have 2 Mahomes guys get into a bidding war and it ends up selling for significantly over the last sale because it is so rare, where that's much less likely to happen with any of these others. So in general, I think the blue prism is maybe a little bit of a riskier card to have from a value standpoint. There's maybe some more upside with it. There's also maybe a little more downside. It's going to be harder to find a buyer at the right price point. The other 4 certainly more liquid, plus you're getting the cash. I don't have a strong winner here. I could go either way on this one. So I'm fine with your pick of having the multiple cards. I'm also totally fine with the side of the guy who took the blue prism.
Maybe what I would do here is I'd take everything but the field level, I'd sell it all, and then I'd go get a red power.
There you go.
Or I'd
Those
go
are
get,
pretty.
Or I'd
Those are
go
pretty.
get an XRC from 2016.
Yeah, I like the XRCs. I
You
like
got
it.
options.
I like
You
it.
got options.
I like it. And you got $1,000 cash
Yeah.
to start you doing that as well.
Yep.
I like it. All right, let's take a look at the next.
Next up, we have a $32,000 600 vintage trade. On one side, we have a Gaudy Ruth in SGC 3. On the other side, we have a Gaudy Ruth in PSA 1, some additional vintage items, and a LeBron Topps Pristine Refractor in PSA 9. What do you guys think about this one?
All right, Teapot, before we jump in and debate this one, I just want to remind the audience one more time that you can do these types of trades at home on Veriswap with more than 50,000 other collectors. Go to veriswap.com, use promo code SCI. Get $15 free towards your first trade on veriswap.com. Okay, Teapot, let's debate this one. Interesting trade here, some vintage in the mix, but also a LeBron. Who won and why?
This reminds me of the first trade, except more condensed, but pretty even overall here. I would take the SGC3,
Okay.
the Babe Ruth, the number 144 of the 4 Gaudis. That one is my favorite visually. It's well centered. It looks pretty good. It has good color for an SGC3. You can see it's got some issues on the corners and edges and maybe a little staining and some other problems. But I really like that card. This is value-wise really even on both sides. Maybe many people not familiar with this Churchman card. You're getting 2 of them.
Yeah.
You're getting a PSA 5, which actually looks pretty good other than being off center left to right. And then you're getting an 8,
Yeah.
which is pop 10 with only 1 higher.
That's
So,
intriguing.
That's an intriguing
That's
card.
an intriguing card.
But when if I'm going to go vintage, I want to really go toward the most iconic stuff. Obviously, you're getting the poor 1, fit number card number 53 from Gaudy. You're getting that really interesting LeBron refractor, which, I think is kind of slept on a little bit. Like people don't talk about Pristine as much. It's numbered to 149. So that's a really nice card. But I really like that Gaudy number 144, and I got to go with that one.
I think whoever traded for the Gaudy, word of advice right now, go get that. If that's gonna be a card you're gonna hold on to, maybe move down the line at some point, get that reholdered.
Yeah.
Get a reslab.
Yeah.
Send it off to SGC. They'll put it in the new slab with an SGC 3 grade. They'll get rid of that 40 rating off of the card.
Yep.
And it will sell better just simply by being in a new slab. It will be worth a little bit more. It does look like a pretty decent copy of a 3. I agree with you from that perspective. The Churchman, though, is really interesting to me. That card actually predates the Gaudy by 4 years. And it's not one you see very often. As you said, that card in an 8 is I think is a pop 10 one higher. So I mean that's a pretty cool card. The 33 Gaudy, the yellow back card, the number to 53, the yellow background, that's kind of a rough copy.
Yeah, it is.
I came into this trade thinking I was probably going to rather have the 4 cards because it's not like a SGC 3 Gaudy is that high of a grade anyway. So I was kind of thinking like, yeah, I trade a 3 down and get a 1 plus some other really unique stuff.
Yeah.
But that 1 doesn't look great. That doesn't have a lot of eye appeal to me. So I think the 1 doesn't really excite me that much. Yeah. The refractor of LeBron's nice, but it is only a 9 if I'm going to be picky. The 2 Churchman cards I actually like quite a bit, especially that PSA 8 copy. And you could that PSA 5 copy you can now use to trade somebody else on Veriswap. So that one I like. So overall, I think it's a decent trade both directions.
Yeah.
But because of the eye appeal issue with the Gaudy, that's the 1 grade, and the nice eye appeal of the Gaudy in the 3 grade, I think I'm with you. I'd rather have the Gaudy in the 3 grade.
That's what's tricky about 1s too of all vintage grades is that they're at the bottom of the grade scale, and you can have so much variety. If this were one that had like really significant paper loss on the back, but the front presented nicely, that would probably swing me in the direction of the 4 cards.
I agree.
If it was visual, even if it was authentic, altered or something, but it's, I might go that direction, but I got to go with the 144.
All right, we have one last trade, Teapot, and I know it's one of your favorite players to invest in ever. Let's go to our final trade.
Last but not least, we have a $25,000 baseball for hockey trade. So on one side, we have a Paul Skenes Bowman Chrome Auto in PSA 10. On the other side, we have a Crosby RPA in BGS 9.5. What do you guys think about this one?
All right, here we go, Teapot. I want to hear the words come out of your mouth that you would rather have the Paul Skenes, because I know how great of an investment you think it is to invest in baseball pitchers and particularly to invest in a young baseball player like Paul Skenes. By the way, I'm being sarcastic, audience, if you haven't already picked that up. Teapot, you have railed against the price of what Paul Skenes cards are trading for, but you gotta say, isn't that the better trade here to get the Skenes?
I would actually say the Skenes is the better value here,
there you
and
go.
I would take the Skenes. And it's a fantastic card. You cannot go wrong with a Bowman Chrome First Auto Gold Refractor. You just can't go wrong with
Beautiful.
that card, except when the pitcher ends up needing Tommy John 2 or 3 times.
Why do you say those type of things?
I love watching Paul Skenes pitch. I love pitching more than anything in baseball. He's on my fantasy team. He's carrying me to the finals. I'm rooting for the guy, and I hope he never has a Tommy John surgery. I hope he is more resilient than Justin Verlander, and who's had surgeries, and everybody else who's pitched. It seems inevitable. Crosby had injuries. He had concussion issues early in his career, and he turned out to be okay. He is one of the all-time greats ever to do it. The thing about it is these cards, they're not super rare on the Crosby. They do sell somewhat frequently. You can find them, and at the present state for these 2 cards, the Skenes is worth significantly more, and he's hot right now. He's so incredibly hot right now. I think it'll cool down a little in the offseason.
It will.
But actually, I think he's going to hold pretty steady because he's dominating so much, especially if he just dominates in every start between now and the end of the month. So I got to go with the Skenes in this case. I still would offer a word of caution to people just to be really careful with pitchers. His prices are really high compared to all the other pitchers, and injuries seem to hit them, and then it can be really rough. So I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, if you had a Skenes that was around the same price as the Sidney Crosby, I think a lot of people watching and myself would pick the Sidney Crosby because you got the established. That's the safe card. Yeah. That's the guy who's done it. Yeah. That's the guy whose cards are gonna maintain value for the next 50 years. Yep. Paul Skenes, we don't know where his career is gonna go. Yeah. Is he the next Kerry Wood? Like, is he out of here in a few seasons and had that year of greatness? Hopefully not. And his greatness is even better than Kerry Wood's greatness. But
Kerry Wood pitched the best game of all time, in my opinion.
He was
strikeouts.
He was great too. I mean, they were both great. But Kerry Wood's cards are not comparable to Sidney Crosby's cards anymore. No. And is Paul Skenes going to be in the same boat? I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go. I hope for Paul Skenes that he is a star pitcher for many, many years to come. However, at the current moment, his cards are, as you said, very hot, definitely more valuable than the Sidney Crosby. So just based upon today's values, I got to go with the Skenes. And even if I didn't really believe in Skenes long term, I would still do this trade, get the Skenes, and then turn around and move the Skenes, trade it to somebody else, because you're definitely trading up here by acquiring that Skenes for your Sidney Crosby card.
Go get a whole bunch of Mahomes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed our breakdown of the trades. One more time, go to veriswap.com and use promo code SCI for $15 off your first trade. So you can do trades like this at home and maybe be featured on next month's show. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you then. Take care.